What you're seeing here is a course designed in Canvas that uses a tool called AnswerGarden to create a very simple and easy interactive check-in for students. So I'm going to show you how this works in this Canvas course, and then I'm going to show you how to set it up using AnswerGarden. So within this module, students have been learning about the concept of humanizing. And so the prompt asks them, what does humanizing online learning mean to you in 1 to 3 words? I am going to go ahead and type in an answer here and click submit. It says thanks for your answer. And now if I click over to the next page, I'm going to see a word cloud of all the responses that this particular AnswerGarden has collected. And you can roll this over from term to term, and it just keeps collecting responses from those who answer the question. And when a response is entered more than one time, it gets bigger. So if I take my mouse and I put my cursor over the word caring, which is what I entered, you'll see that 6 folks have entered that as the response. 9 have said connection, and it's a really interesting way to just see how others have responded to the same question. So let's take a look at how to set something like this up. First of all, you'll want to go out to answergarden.ch, that's the website. Click on Create AnswerGarden. And then your first step is to create a topic for your AnswerGarden. Keep it as short as simple, and it's highly recommended that in your prompt you specify how many words the response should be. This will work better when the responses are short, for example, 1 to 3 words. Okay, so there is my topic. There are some additional options. There are some different modes. I've always kept this on Classroom and it's worked great, but you can check out the other options too. You can set the length of the answer. I typically select 20 just to keep things simple. And you can also create an admin password for your AnswerGarden, and that can come in handy because then you'll have additional options like wiping it clean and starting it fresh, and doing that allows you to continue to use the same AnswerGarden without actually having to set up a new one and embed it, etc. But you do lose all of your answers, so keep that in mind. The admin password also allows you to go back in and toggle between different modes if it turns out that you selected a mode you didn't like. I highly recommend that you enter your email here because then you'll get a link to the AnswerGarden and the admin password, and that's really helpful because if you're like me, you have a really hard time remembering that stuff. I've always kept spam filter off, but you may choose to toggle that on and experiment with it. And you can also choose to adjust the default of the case. All of the responses by default will appear in lowercase unless you change that. So this option at the bottom, I usually just leave it as is. I don't have a discoverable network on AnswerGarden, but that's never caused a problem for me. So once you're done with the features, you can click Create, and your AnswerGarden is done at that point. Okay, so it's fully functional. You could share it using the link up here. Just give that link to anyone. But if you want to embed it in your course, what you'll want to do is click on the Share button at the bottom and look for the embed code. Okay, so this embed code is basically going to embed the question at the top and all the answers at the bottom. So let's pause for a second and go back to this Canvas course. Remember that I showed you 2 pages. There was a page that had the question, and there was a page that had the question and all the answers. So it's the full AnswerGarden embed code that you're going to plug into that second page, so it has the question and all the answers. And then what you want to do is actually use the embed code for the micro garden at the bottom, which is here, and that is what you put on the first page that just shows the question. Now, if you don't care and if you want your students to see the answers before they respond, you can just have a single page with the AnswerGarden embedded in it. I like for students to respond without seeing those answers because it can really influence what they say. So there's a couple of different ways to do this, but I'm going to now show you how to embed the micro garden in Canvas. So first I'm going to get started by just copying the embed code. So I clicked in that box at the bottom so everything's blue and highlighted, and then I clicked Command C or Control C on my keyboard so it's copied to my computer's clipboard, and I go back to Canvas. So I have a simple module set up here for this demo, and I've got two pages, one what do you think and one responses. So I'm going to click on that what do you think page and open it up. On this blank page, I'll click Edit. In the toolbar at the top of the Rich Content Editor, select Insert/Edit Media, select Embed, click in the box, and paste the embed code. And there's one edit that I suggest you make to the embed code. Locate where it says width, and then you're going to want to replace the 303px with 90%, 90 and the percent sign. So I'm just going to type that in and click OK. And what that does is it auto sizes the embed a little bit better, and it's more accessible and responsive to the size of the viewer screen. Click Save, and we are done with this part of the prompt, right? So now I'm just going to click to the next page, and this is where we want to put the full Answer Garden. So I'm going to go back to my Answer Garden tab, and this time at the top under the Embed heading, I'll click in the box for that embed code that starts with iframe, and I'm going to copy that again just like I did the first time. Go back over to Canvas. On the page, click Edit. Above the Rich Content Editor, select Insert/Edit Media, select Embed, click in the box, paste your embed code, find the width entry again, highlight everything between the two quotes, type 90%, and click OK. Click Save. And there you have it. You have a micro garden with a prompt, and I'll give you a demo here. And I'll click Next, and there's my response. Just like magic, that's how it works.